The LEGO 501st Battle Pack was born from the clash between LEGO Star Wars fans' insatiable hunger for blue-striped clone troopers and the LEGO Group's insatiable greed for money. I mean, a $30 battle pack? Come on, man. 2 years later, LEGO has released the $40 Republic Fighter Tank, and while this is absolutely not a battle pack, it is definitely drawing eyes as an army builder. In this day and age, LEGO sets with clones just aren't super common, especially with a non-canon clone legion like this. This is likely a one-time opportunity to get lean. If you're watching this video, you might be a fan of the 501st Battle Pack, and thanks to this video's sponsor, Whatnot, I will be able to give away 20 of these battle packs to you guys completely for free. So stick around till later in the video where I'll explain exactly how. This video will attempt to answer whether or not the Republic Fighter Tank is a viable option for army building 187th Legion clone troopers, and how that army building value stacks up to the 501st Clone Battle Pack. If you're going to be buying many multiples of a set in an attempt to build an army of clone troopers, you're going to end up with many multiples of those builds, and you certainly could turn them into alternate builds and do things with either set. I think the fighter tank might give you a little bit more versatility as far as what you could turn it into. I just don't think the fighter tank looks very good. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's too skinny. I think it's too tall. It's just got some weird funky proportions like the AAT, but on the other hand, the ATRT and the Bark Speeder are kind of like a clone army builder's best friend. For years and years and years, walkers and speeders have kind of been the main things of clone battle packs, and as such, I've had many clone armies myself and seen many on YouTube where people have a lot of walkers and speeders like this. It's not very common to have a lot of fighter tanks, not that it wouldn't be cool, especially if you like the way this looks, to have a bunch of fighter tanks, but it's just not all too common. Ultimately, I don't think these smaller vehicles really matter too much for clone armies. They're nice to have, and they mostly end up in mass in most people's armies as a byproduct of buying sets for the figures, so that's something to keep in mind. But if you do like the way this fighter tank looks, I think it would be a lot cooler to have 10 fighter tanks than to have 10 of either of these. It's just a matter of preference if you like the look of that. When it comes to the question of, is the Republic Fighter Tank a follow-up to the 501st Battle Pack? Is it the next 501st Battle Pack? You know, is it in the same lineage? It kind of is and it kind of isn't. I think there's some pretty obvious similarities in that clone troopers, but also the number of clone troopers, the number of battle droids certainly in each set is definitely a resemblance that cannot be ignored. 2 battle droids in each set to go alongside a legion of clone troopers, and in the case of the fighter tank, there are a couple of things holding it up from being a great army builder like the 501st set. So those 2 things are Mace Windu, who is a great Mace Windu minifigure. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this Mace Windu figure. It's the best one that we have ever seen from LEGO Star Wars. It's fantastic. It's great. I think everyone should have it in their collection. But from an army builder's perspective, this is a nightmare. It's a Jedi. It's not a battle pack, though, so it doesn't matter that it has a named character, of course. But again, from an army builder's perspective, just purely looking at it from that POV, that's not a great thing. And the fighter tank does have another thing going against it that you might not have even thought of. This is a clone commander. Maybe Commander Lean, I don't know. But it is a clone commander, and I would treat him the same as I treat Commander Cody or Captain Rex, in which I would only want one of him for my army. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do whatever you like with your clone army. You can just call them airborne troopers, whatever makes you happy. But for the purposes of this video, I am counting him as a one-of-a-kind character, no different than I would count Mace Windu, which means after you've bought your first copy of the set and you're going out to buy your 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th, 20th copy of the Republic Fighter Tank, I don't know how crazy some of you guys might go with this, to get your army of 187th Legion clone troopers, you might end up with a lot of excess Mace Windus and clone commanders from the 187th Legion, and if you want to get rid of those, today's sponsor, Whatnot, might be of great help to you. Whatnot is a live auction app where you can buy and sell sports cards, Funko Pops, comic books, and, you guessed it, LEGO. This Saturday, April 9th at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting my very own and very first live auction on the Whatnot app. If you use my very special link in the description below, you'll get $10 off your first purchase, whether that be a purchase from me or someone else on the Whatnot app. And if you follow me on the app and are in attendance, you will have a chance to win a 501st Battle Pack absolutely for free. So make sure again to download Whatnot with the link in the description below to save $10 on your first purchase. So with that in mind, let's get into some raw numbers of the army building capabilities of these particular sets. With the Republic Fighter Tank, you are just going to want, or at least for me, I suppose, maybe it's different for you, but from my perspective, If I am going in trying to army build 187th Legion clone troopers, I am getting 2 clone troopers for the price of $40 after my first set, right? That's my main want out of every set I buy at that point. For the 501st, however, I am, battle droids being equal, I suppose, from both sets, but I'm still amassing 4 troops every time I buy a set for $30. So it's costing me about $7.50 a figure, or if we just want to look at the regular ones, $10 a figure, versus the 187th Legion Clone Troopers. They're going to set me back $20 a minifigure, which means if I just want 10 of these, it's going to cost me $200. That is not a cheap way to build an army, but that's not necessarily something that LEGO always offers. If we look to our past, we can see sets like the Republic AV-7 cannon or the Coruscant Police gunship, both of which had a couple of clone troopers that would have been really nice to have in cheaper battle packs, much like perhaps these 187th Legion clone troopers might be. But I see this set the same as I see the Republic AV-7 cannon and the Coruscant Police gunship. They come with extra clone troopers, but their focus isn't army building. And I honestly think the only reason the fighter tank is getting conversation as an army builder is because LEGO has pushed the price of army builders to $30 with the 501st Battle Pack. They've kind of changed the way a lot of people think about these sorts of things, which is interesting because nobody looked at the Republic AV-7 cannon 8 years ago and thought of it as an army builder. So it's interesting how things have changed. The conversation around this price point has changed. Now there's one other key difference when it comes to value, and that is price per piece. Who cares about the weight of the thing? I'm just holding the scale for the looks. Anyway, the price per piece of the $40 Republic fighter tank comes out to 15.2 cents per piece versus the 501st set at 10.5 cents per piece. And a lot of people use price per piece as their main way to judge the value of a LEGO set. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think that it is also like a cherry-picked thing. A lot of people only use it to say something is a bad value versus times when things are closer to 10 cents per piece. It's not as brought up that it's a good value because it's this cent per piece. It is mostly used as a detractor, and I just fundamentally disagree with it. I understand why it's a thing. It's simple to look at the piece count and the price and be like, oh, smaller number of plastics for higher number of papers. And this is a bigger number of plastic for less papers. And on a basic level, yes, that makes sense. However, that's not everything that goes into a LEGO set. Fortunately, with these, you get an even slate of characters, so that makes that pretty simple. However, how much plastic are you getting? How many grams do each of these sets weigh? I won't weigh the boxes. Let's just weigh the sets and find out. So remember, the 501st set is $30, and it has all this stuff included in the set. And all in all, it's about 155 grams. That's what I got earlier when I weighed it, and that brings us to 19.4 cents per gram. That is pretty expensive on the cents per gram scale. If we bring over the fighter tank, again, $40 set. We'll get everything on here. The fighter tank's a bit trickier as you have to lay the figures on, but 265 grams. And the price per gram on that one is about 15 cents per gram. So it ends up being about 20 cents per gram versus 15 cents per gram. And you can get the idea that it can work both ways. You can look at the price per piece and say, well, this one has a better price per piece, but I can also look at the price per the weight of thing you're buying and say, well, you're getting actually more physical stuff by weight in this particular set. And I think it makes it difficult to really go in and discern because I can just cherry pick which one I want to pick, right? This one weighs more, therefore it must be a better value than that. I don't think that's particularly fair either. But those are the hard stats on the value numbers for the fighter tank and the 501st set. You can decide which one means more to you, whether that be price per piece or price per ounce or price per minifigure. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just here to help you make that decision a little bit easier. Now, you might think these two are the closest cousins to each other. However, I have a different proposition. In fact, I think it's just the truth that the Republic fighter tank's closest cousin is actually the Imperial Armored Marauder from 2021. Think about it. It's got a named character in Grief Karga. There's your Mace Windu there. And then you have your specialty trooper, the Artillery Stormtrooper. Over here we have the Clone Commander, and then we have 2 regular Stormtroopers, 2 regular 187th Legion troopers, and then of course the one big troop-carrying vehicle with the fighter tank and the Marauder there. However, the reason I think a lot of people are looking at it like a 501st Battle Pack, first off, it's clone troopers, but second off, those 2 extra battle droids that they threw in make it seem like it's more like the 501st Battle Pack than it is. I think of this a lot more like an Imperial Armored Marauder set. And while yes, I think a lot of people, myself included, looked at the set as a potential way to get a lot of Stormtroopers for relatively cheap, the reality with these Stormtroopers is they were in a $20 battle pack 2 years ago. These Clone Troopers are not going to be coming in a battle pack. It is almost a 0% chance that we are getting any of these figures in any other set, really probably ever, other than this single $40 set. If you look back to 2014 again, those Shock Troopers and those Wolfpack Troopers never came in a cheaper set. They never came in a battle pack. That $40 set, $50 set was the only way to get them, and I don't see that changing for this fighter tank and its 187th Legion Clone Troopers. The maximum amount I would recommend buying of this set is somewhere in the range of 3 to 5. I would not go out and buy massive amounts of the Republic fighter tank like many of us did with the 501st set. These are unique and niche things. They're not even canon. It's so surprising that LEGO went ahead and released this, and this is definitely, in my mind, the only set it'll ever come in. LEGO Clone Troopers, I think the way it's heading is that, you know, they'll keep releasing them, but they'll only be in one set at a time. They won't duplicate sets. You know, 501st Troopers aren't coming in another set either, nor are 332nd Troopers, and these will have the same fate. We'll just continue to get more different ones in kind of one-off sets throughout the years. That's the way I see it going down as time marches on. Luckily, with today's sponsor, Whatnot, there are other avenues available to help you reduce your cost. You can either become a seller on Whatnot, obviously, and sell off your extra stuff like Mace Windu and the Clone Commander to reduce your overall cost, or if people on there are selling 187th Troopers, you can potentially snag them for $15 or $10 a piece and actually make out like a bandit there compared to what you would be paying buying a bunch of the LEGO sets. So I hope you did enjoy this comparison of the Republic Fighter Tank and the 501st Battle Pack, examining its viability as an army builder and then finding out that its true cousin is the Imperial Armored Marauder. I know it's crazy. When the blood work came in, I didn't believe it either, but that's the truth. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and please check out Whatnot with the link in the description below, again, to get $10 off your first purchase. And you can come hang out at my auction Saturday, April 9th at 6 p.m. where I'm going to be selling a ton of LEGO Star Wars stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.